Mumbai, November 26, 2008. The city was alive the way it always was. Horns blaring, people hustling, lights glowing like the place never slept. Nobody knew that within hours the world's cameras would be locked onto this one city like it was the center of the universe. At the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus, commuters rushed to catch late trains. A tea vendor shouted, "Chai, garam chai!" Then came the sound that nobody understood at first. Pop, pop, pop. At first, people thought it was something small, maybe firecrackers. Mumbai had seen noise before. But then, someone screamed, and everything changed. Meanwhile, hundreds of kilometers away, inside a secure office in Mumbai Police Headquarters, phones started ringing like crazy. Deputy Commissioner Rakesh Maria grabbed the receiver. "Yeah, talk to me." A voice on the other end sounded shaken. "Sir, we got reports of firing at CST, multiple casualties. This ain't random." Maria frowned. "Ain't random?" he repeated. "You better not be guessing." "Sir, eyewitnesses say 2 armed men moving fast." Maria leaned back slowly. "All right," he muttered. "This is bad, real bad." The city goes into chaos. Within minutes, news channels exploded with breaking alerts. Another call came in. "Sir, firing reported at Leopold Cafe." Before Maria could process that, another voice yelled from across the room. "Sir, explosion reported near Taj Mahal Palace Hotel." Maria slammed his palm on the table. "Yo, this ain't some street crime," he said sharply. "This is coordinated." That word, coordinated, sent chills through the room, because coordinated attacks meant planning, planning meant handlers, and handlers meant masterminds. Across the border, voices on the line. Later, when investigators began reviewing recordings and intelligence intercepts, they discovered something chilling. These attackers weren't acting alone. They were being guided. Calm voices, cold voices. Cold voices who were not even inside India. Those voices would later become central to the investigation led by Indian agencies and intelligence units. Names started surfacing. One name kept appearing in intelligence reports, Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakhvi. Another name already known to authorities, Hafiz Saeed. These weren't street criminals. These were men suspected of leading operations from the shadows. Back in Mumbai, the hunt begins. Inside a moving police vehicle, sirens screaming, Officer Hemant Karkare spoke into his radio. "All units, listen up. This ain't a robbery. This ain't gang violence." He paused. "This is terrorism." The word landed heavy. Nobody inside that vehicle spoke for a moment. Then one constable whispered, "Sir, you think there's more than 2? Karkare didn't hesitate. "Yeah," he said quietly, "way more." The world starts watching. Within an hour, global news networks switched to live coverage. Helicopter shots showed flames rising from the upper floors of the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel. Phones kept ringing non-stop inside control rooms. One officer shouted, "Sir, foreign nationals trapped inside the hotel." Another yelled, "Gunmen reported at Oberoi Trident Hotel." Maria ran his forehead across his forehead. "Man, this thing just went global," he muttered. The lone survivor who changed everything. Days later, one moment would shift the entire case. A single attacker was captured alive. His name, Ajmal Kasab. When officers first brought him in, exhausted but alert, investigators knew this guy was the key. Maria stepped into the interrogation room. Kasab sat quietly. Maria pulled up a chair. "You know what's wild?" Maria said, voice calm. "You're the only one alive." Kasab didn't respond. Maria leaned forward. "Talk to me, and maybe the truth saves lives." Silence filled the room. Then Kasab spoke softly. "We didn't come alone." That single sentence cracked the case wide open. The bigger puzzle. Over the following days, Indian agencies began collecting call records, satellite phone data, and intercepted conversations. Each fragment told a terrifying truth. This wasn't just an attack, it was a network operation, handled remotely, directed in real time, voices from far away telling attackers what to do next.
Investigators realized the real criminals weren't only the gunmen. The real story was about the unseen masterminds, the people behind phones, maps, and commands.
Mumbai was still burning. Smoke curled into the night sky from the upper floors of the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel. Sirens echoed non-stop. News vans lined the streets like a wall of flashing lights. Inside the temporary command room, officers looked exhausted but alert. Deputy Commissioner Rakesh Maria leaned over a table filled with maps. "All right," he said, voice firm. "We ain't dealing with lone wolves here. Somebody's pulling strings." An intelligence officer stepped forward. "Sir, we got something." Maria turned sharply. "Talk." "We intercepted phone signals, satellite phones. These gunmen ain't operating blind. They're getting instructions." Maria's eyes narrowed. "Real-time instructions?" "Yes, sir." Maria muttered under his breath. "Man, this just got uglier." The phones that told the story. Investigators soon collected phones recovered from attack sites and captured from Ajmal Kasab. One officer plugged in headphones and played an intercepted recording. A calm voice spoke from the other end. "Stay focused, move to upper floors, keep hostages." The room went silent. Maria removed the headphones slowly. "That voice ain't Indian," he said quietly. Another officer nodded. "Sir, signals traced beyond Indian borders." That changed everything. Now this wasn't just an attack inside India. This was international terrorism. Kasab starts talking. Inside the interrogation room, the air felt heavy. Kasab sat across from Maria. Maria spoke calmly, almost casually. "You look tired, kid." Kasab stayed silent. Maria slid a bottle of water across the table. "Drink," he said. "You're gonna need strength if you're gonna tell the truth." Kasab hesitated, then drank. Minutes passed. Then Maria spoke again. "Who trained you?" Kasab whispered, "In Pakistan." Maria leaned forward. "Where exactly?" Kasab hesitated. Then came the name investigators had feared hearing. Lashkar-e-Taiba. Maria sat back slowly. "All right, now we're getting somewhere." Training for war. According to Kasab's confession and later investigations, the attackers had undergone intense training before arriving in Mumbai. Training included handling assault rifles, navigation using GPS, marine travel, hostage tactics, communication using satellite phones. Kasab described training camps linked to Lashkar-e-Taiba. Maria asked him, "How long did they train you?" Kasab answered quietly, "Months, maybe longer." "Who gave instructions during attack?" Kasab replied, "Handlers from Pakistan." Maria tapped the table slowly. "Names." Kasab swallowed. One name surfaced repeatedly in intelligence briefings: Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakhvi. Investigators suspected he played a major role in coordinating operations. The sea route, a deadly journey. Meanwhile, maritime investigators pieced together the attackers' journey. They didn't come by plane. They came by sea. From Karachi's coastline, intelligence suggested they traveled toward India using a hijacked fishing vessel named MV Kuber. That vessel became a crucial clue. Inside a naval briefing room, an officer pointed at satellite imagery. "They hijacked MV Kuber mid-sea," he explained. Another officer asked, "How'd they navigate Mumbai coastline?" "GPS, advanced navigation tools." Maria muttered, "These guys weren't amateurs. They came prepared."
As intelligence agencies analyzed intercepted calls, the truth became clearer. Handlers were guiding the attackers live. Not before the attack, during the attack. One intercepted conversation reportedly included instructions like set fires, keep media attention high. Those recordings showed the attackers weren't acting randomly. They were executing orders. Cold, precise, calculated. The targets were chosen carefully. Investigators studied attack locations: Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, Oberoi Trident Hotel, Nariman House, Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus. These weren't random targets. They were symbolic, international, crowded, high media visibility. Maria looked at the target list and shook his head. They picked places the whole world watches, he said. Yeah, another officer replied. Maximum impact. The intelligence war begins. As the siege continued, India's intelligence agencies began working alongside international partners. Among them was the Federal Bureau of Investigation. American officials wanted answers too. Many victims were foreign nationals. Inside a secure meeting room, an FBI officer reportedly said, "This ain't just India's problem. This is global." Data sharing began. Phone logs were analyzed, voice recordings compared, and slowly, piece by piece, a picture started forming. A command structure operating remotely, handlers issuing orders, gunmen executing them. A chilling realization. One night, after hours of reviewing recordings, Maria sat alone. He replayed a call, again and again. The handler's voice stayed calm, even cheerful. That disturbed him more than anything. He whispered to himself, "Man, these guys treated it like a video game. Not chaos, not panic, just instructions, like moves on a chessboard." The puzzle gets bigger. Investigators now believed the attackers were trained abroad. The mission was planned months in advance. Handlers guided attackers during the siege. International connections existed. But one big question remained. Who planned the full logistics? Not just training, not just weapons, but movement, timing, targets, and communication. That question would soon lead investigators toward new suspects and deeper global links.
Mumbai was still under siege, but inside intelligence rooms, another battle had begun. A digital hunt. Not with guns, with data. Phone logs, GPS routes, internet records. Every signal mattered. Inside a secure operations room, Deputy Commissioner Rakesh Maria stood beside a wall filled with call charts. An officer pointed at a screen. "Sir, we traced multiple calls made during the attack." Maria folded his arms. "Where are they coming from?" The officer zoomed in on the digital map. Across the border and routed through internet-based systems. Maria exhaled slowly. Yeah, they didn't just plan this, they engineered it. The mystery of internet calls. Investigators soon discovered something crucial. The attackers weren't using regular mobile networks alone. They were using internet-based calling systems, a method that made tracing harder. Inside a technical lab, cyber experts replayed communication logs. One officer said, they used Voice over Internet Protocol, VoIP. Maria raised an eyebrow. That fancy internet calling stuff? Exactly, sir. Cheap, fast, and harder to trace. That discovery showed how modern technology had been weaponized. Not just guns, technology. The foreign connection. As the investigation deepened, international agencies stepped in. One of the most important partners was the Federal Bureau of Investigation. American experts began analyzing digital records tied to suspicious communication accounts. One FBI analyst reportedly explained during a briefing, they created fake identities to register VoIP accounts. Maria nodded. Fake names, fake emails, fake locations. Exactly, the analyst replied, but they slipped once. Maria leaned forward. How? Payment trail. That one word, payment, changed everything. Money leaves a trail. Every digital service needs payment, even anonymous ones. Investigators traced transactions used to activate VoIP communication systems. Some payments were linked to accounts created under false identities, but forensic analysis revealed patterns, repeated connections, shared technical fingerprints. Inside the room, an Indian officer whispered, "This ain't random activity, it's organized." Maria tapped the table. Yeah, and organized means leadership. The GPS that guided the attackers.
Another breakthrough came from devices recovered from the hijacked vessel, MV Kuber. Navigation data stored inside GPS units revealed something chilling. The attackers had preloaded coordinates, planned landing points, identified exact routes to Mumbai coastline. Inside a naval intelligence office, one officer explained, they knew exactly to land. Another asked, no guesswork? The officer shook his head. None. Somebody mapped this route in advance. Maria muttered, man, this was a full-on military-style operation. The handler voices. One of the most disturbing discoveries came from intercepted audio recordings. Handlers were guiding attackers throughout the operation. Some instructions reportedly included, stay inside, watch news coverage, keep pressure on. The reference to watching news coverage shocked investigators because it showed handlers were monitoring live television broadcasts. Inside a review room, one officer said they were adjusting tactics based on media reports. Maria stared at the screen, like they were controlling pieces on a chessboard. A new name appears. As digital and intelligence trails connected dots, investigators found links pointing toward individuals believed to be associated with planning and coordination. Among those frequently mentioned in intelligence briefings was David Coleman Headley. Headley became a major figure in the international investigation. Authorities later revealed he had conducted reconnaissance in Mumbai, visited multiple target locations, recorded video footage, provided information used for planning. Inside an intelligence meeting, an officer reportedly said, "This guy didn't pull the trigger, but he showed them where to aim." Maria responded quietly, "That makes him just as dangerous." The reconnaissance missions. Investigations revealed that David Coleman Headley had visited Mumbai several times before the attacks. During these visits, he reportedly stayed in hotels, filmed entry points, studied security patterns, identified high-value locations. Some of the locations linked to reconnaissance included Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, Oberoi Trident Hotel, Nariman House. Maria looked at photos of these buildings. They didn't pick targets overnight, he said. Months of planning, another officer replied. Global intelligence web. With more evidence emerging, multiple countries began coordinating efforts. Investigators shared phone recordings, financial transactions, travel histories, surveillance data. One officer summarized the situation. This operation crossed borders, so the investigation must too. That meant cooperation between Indian agencies, American intelligence units, and international counter-terror divisions. Each new data point tightened the net, but the masterminds still remained outside reach. The psychological strategy. Investigators also studied how the attackers behaved. Their actions showed calm execution, planned movements, strategic hostage-taking. Experts believed the attackers were trained not just physically, but psychologically. Maria once remarked during a briefing, they weren't acting scared, they were following orders. That calmness suggested disciplined training and continuous remote guidance. The question that haunted investigators. By now, several facts were clear. The attackers trained for months. Routes were pre-planned. Targets were carefully selected. Communications were controlled remotely. Reconnaissance was conducted long before the attack. But one critical question remained. Who coordinated all the moving pieces? Not just the gunmen, not just reconnaissance, but logistics, timing, communication, and strategy. The search for that answer would push investigators deeper into international intelligence territory and towards names that would dominate headlines.
Mumbai had survived the gunfire, but the investigation was far from over. Inside the operations room, charts covered entire walls, photos, call records, maps, timelines. It looked less like an office and more like a war room. Deputy Commissioner Rakesh Maria stood staring at a board filled with names and arrows. An officer walked in holding a file. "Sir, new intelligence from foreign agencies." Maria didn't look away from the board. "Lay it on me." The officer opened the file. More details on David Coleman Headley.
Maria finally turned. "That guy again," he muttered. "All right, what now?" "The man who walked the targets." Investigators now knew that David Coleman Headley had made multiple trips to Mumbai before the attacks. Not as a tourist, not for business, for surveillance. Inside a briefing room, officers reviewed still images taken from video footage recovered during investigations. One officer pointed at the screen. "Sir, this footage shows entry points of the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel." Another slide appeared. This one, the Oberoi Trident Hotel. Maria crossed his arms. So he walked the ground, studied security, mapped everything. "Yes, sir." Maria shook his head slowly. Man, this wasn't guesswork. This was homework. The arrest that changed the game. Thousands of kilometers away, a major development took place. Authorities in the United States arrested David Coleman Headley in Chicago in 2009. The arrest wasn't just routine, it was explosive, because investigators believed Headley had knowledge that connected many missing dots. Inside an intelligence coordination meeting, an officer reported, "Sir, U.S. authorities confirmed his arrest." Maria leaned forward. "Did he talk?" The officer nodded slowly. "Yes, and what he shared matched our findings." Maria whispered, "Now we're getting somewhere." The reconnaissance confirmed. Through interrogation and shared intelligence, investigators confirmed that David Coleman Headley had conducted surveillance missions in Mumbai. His visits included studying entry and exit routes, security presence, floor layouts, gathering points. Many of these details were later used during the attack. One investigator remarked during a briefing, "This guy didn't fire bullets, but he helped decide where they would land." Maria nodded grimly. "That's logistics. That's planning." The Handler Network. Back in India, investigators continued reviewing intercepted calls between attackers and handlers. Names connected to operational leadership kept appearing in intelligence reports. One such name frequently cited in investigations, Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakhvi. Authorities suspected he had played a central role in directing operations. During a discussion, one officer said, "Sir, the voice patterns from recordings match intelligence files." Maria asked, "You telling me he was giving instructions live?" "Yes, sir, that's what the data suggests." Maria shook his head. Cold, real cold. The evidence becomes overwhelming. By this stage, investigators had gathered multiple forms of evidence. 1. Intercepted calls, recorded instructions during the attack. 2. GPS data, routes stored inside navigation systems recovered from MV Cooper. 3. Reconnaissance reports, details linked to David Coleman Headley. 4. Financial trails, payments used to activate communication systems. Each piece reinforced the same conclusion. This attack was planned months in advance. Not days, not weeks, months. International pressure built. As evidence grew stronger, international pressure increased. Multiple countries demanded accountability. Diplomatic meetings were held. Security agencies exchanged intelligence data. Inside a high-level meeting, one official summarized, "This ain't just India's fight anymore." Maria agreed. When civilians from different countries are targeted, it becomes global. That shift how the investigation moved forward. Now it wasn't just about solving a case, it was about preventing future attacks. The trial of the lone survivor. Meanwhile, in India, legal proceedings against Ajmal Kasab continued. His testimony provided important insights into training routines, travel routes, command structures. Inside the courtroom, prosecutors laid out evidence carefully. One official explained, his statements matched intercepted calls and recovered data. That alignment strengthened the case against those suspected of planning the operation. Maria later remarked during a press interaction, "When evidence lines up from different directions, you know you're close to the truth." The psychological impact. Beyond physical damage, investigators studied the psychological strategy behind the attacks. The targets were chosen not just for casualties, but visibility. High-profile locations included the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, the Oberoi Trident Hotel, Nariman House. These were places the world recognized instantly. That meant global media coverage, maximum psychological shock, worldwide attention. Maria once said quietly during a late-night meeting, they didn't just attack buildings, they attacked confidence. The final pieces fall into place. As months passed, investigators pieced together the timeline: training phase, reconnaissance phase, travel preparation, communications setup, execution phase. Each stage revealed increasing levels of coordination. Nothing about the attack appeared spontaneous. Everything showed signs of structured planning. The one question still echoed. Even after major arrests and intelligence breakthroughs, one haunting question remained. Could this have been prevented? Investigators reviewed warning signals, intelligence alerts, and earlier clues. Some reports suggested suspicious activity had been noticed, but not fully connected at the time. Maria stared at the evidence board late one night. Lines connected dozens of names, routes, dates, signals. He whispered to himself, "Man, hindsight makes everything look obvious." But at the time, the pieces were scattered.
Mumbai had survived, but the scars remained on buildings, on systems, and most of all, on people. The final flames had been extinguished at the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, yet investigators knew their work was far from over. This wasn't just about closing a case, it was about making sure something like this never happened the same way again. The final legal outcome. Inside Indian courts, the legal process moved steadily. The lone surviving attacker, Ajmal Kasab, faced trial based on overwhelming evidence. That evidence included CCTV footage, eyewitness testimony, forensic analysis, intercepted communications. One prosecutor stated during proceedings, quote, "The evidence speaks for itself," unquote. Kasab's confession, combined with physical and digital proof, helped establish the full sequence of events. Eventually, after trial and appeals, Ajmal Kasab was convicted by Indian courts. Investigators considered the case one of the most thoroughly documented terror investigations in India's history. International cases continued. While proceedings in India concluded, investigations outside the country continued. One of the most significant international figures tied to planning was David Coleman Headley. Authorities confirmed that he had conducted surveillance of key targets before the attack. In court proceedings abroad, Headley admitted to visiting Mumbai multiple times, recording videos of locations, and passing information used for planning. These admissions confirmed what Indian investigators had suspected from the early stages. Inside intelligence circles, one officer summarized, quote, "He didn't fire a weapon, but he mapped the battlefield," unquote. The network behind the scenes. Investigations pointed to individuals believed to be involved in directing operations. Among those repeatedly referenced in intelligence reports, Zaki-ur-Rehman Lakhvi, Hafiz Saeed. Authorities connected these names to leadership roles within Lashkar-e-Taiba. Evidence gathered included recorded communication intercepts, intelligence reports, testimony from multiple sources. These findings became central to international counter-terror discussions. Security lessons that changed India. After the attacks, India introduced major changes in security infrastructure. Authorities realized that the attackers had used sea routes, internet-based communication, GPS navigation, and real-time monitoring of news coverage. Those methods forced security agencies to rethink old strategies. New measures included: 1. Coastal surveillance strengthened. India expanded maritime monitoring systems to track suspicious vessel movement. Lessons from the hijacked MV Kuber played a major role in redesigning coastal security systems. 2. Faster response forces. India strengthened elite response capabilities. One major force that gained expanded importance was the National Security Guard.
Their operations during the attacks highlighted the need for rapid deployment teams in major cities. 3. Intelligence sharing improvements. India improved coordination between state police, central intelligence agencies, and international partners. One of the global partners involved in evidence sharing was the Federal Bureau of Investigation. That cooperation became a model for future international counter-terror investigations. The media factor. Another major lesson came from the role of live television coverage. Investigators later observed that attackers' handlers monitored live news updates during the siege. This changed how media coverage was managed during future crisis events. Authorities introduced protocols to balance public awareness and operational secrecy. Maria once commented during a later briefing, quote, "Information is power, and during a crisis, too much live detail can become dangerous," unquote. The human cost. Behind all the strategy, logistics, and intelligence work, there remained the most painful truth. People lost their lives. Families were affected. Communities changed forever. Locations targeted during the attacks included Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, Oberoi Trident Hotel, Nariman House. These places became symbols, not just of tragedy, but resilience. The global impact. The 26/11 attacks became one of the most widely broadcast terror incidents in history. Security agencies worldwide studied the case carefully. They analyzed multi-location attack strategies, remote command methods, use of technology and coordination. International experts considered the operation a turning point in modern urban terrorism planning. One intelligence officer later summarized, quote, "This attack rewrote the rulebook," unquote. Mumbai moves forward. Months after the attacks, life in Mumbai slowly returned to normal. Trains ran again, hotels reopened, crowds returned, but security systems had changed forever. One police officer standing outside the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel reportedly said, quote, "They tried to shake the city, but the city stood firm," unquote. Final reflection, the logistics that shocked the world. What made the 26/11 attack stand out wasn't just violence, it was the planning, the logistics, the coordination. Investigators later summarized the attack structure as months of preparation, careful reconnaissance, detailed route planning, real-time remote control, global communication networks. That level of organization shocked intelligence communities worldwide. Final line of the story. Late one evening, after reviewing months of evidence, Deputy Commissioner Rakesh Maria reportedly closed a case file and whispered quietly, quote, "This wasn't chaos, it was choreography," unquote. And that realization changed how the world prepared for threats forever.